Chris Brentle. Chris Brentle.
Okay, so I thought you'd be interested in this story, Chris. This woman in California, her name is, let's see, where was this woman's name? Myrna Arias. Okay, she was fired by a company called Intermex Wire Transfer in Bakersfield, California. She was a sales executive. They required all employees to have an app on their phone that tracks them. I assume it's a company phone. I would assume that. And they required this app called Xora, Xora, that contained GPS. You know, all smartphones have GPS nowadays. And they were able to track the employees, not just when they were at work, but 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And she removed the app from her phone. They fired her. And I know you're a big privacy guy. That's why I wanted to get your take on this. You think she has a case here?
It is a private company. I mean,
yeah, that's
you have a choice not to work there.
And you also have a choice not to carry the phone 24 hours a day. If it's a company phone, you can just leave it at your desk, which is probably what, if I were in this situation, and luckily I'm not, and the company required me to have a tracking app on my phone, I probably would leave the phone at work.
Yeah, she only has a case, in my eyes, and of course, I'm not a legal expert. I took like a media law class once. That was it.
Yeah,
half
same
time
here.
I didn't show up. But anyway, so not that I'm a legal expert, but I feel like she doesn't have a case unless she can prove it's the phone itself. She doesn't have a case. But if there's an abuse because of it, she has a case.
Yeah.
So I guess her only case is they fired me because I refused to have the app, or I refused to have the navigation on my phone. But I mean, I'm not so sure she has a case because it is a private company. You can choose not to work there. I mean, I wouldn't want to work there because I don't want anybody to know where I am at all times. It's just seems like an abuse of power. It seems like a stupid business practice because in all actuality, she should make a big deal out of it, but for the simple fact that it at least opens some people's eyes. Hey, don't work here because they're tracking you. I just don't know if she has any legal recourse.
Well, and that's the question. I'm not quite sure why this employer would need to track their employees 24 hours a day and know where they're at. And the owner of the company, or the CEO, actually bragged when asked about it. Said, "We know how fast you drive when you're in your car. This, GPS can tell how fast you're moving." So. And obviously he was just being facetious about that. I don't think they were worried about how fast she drives. I do find it interesting that employers are asking more and more of their employees as far as it comes to privacy. I mean, they're asking for social media passwords. They're asking for, and a lot of states are trying to make that illegal. I think even Wyoming had a bill in the past, in the past legislature. I don't know if it ever went anywhere, but it would have prevented companies from demanding this sort of information. I'm just lucky that we work here,
right? But see, that's the thing.
I mean, nobody cares what we do here as long as we show up for work.
As long as we're here and we do our job, we're perfectly fine. And I don't say things that get me in trouble. But that's beside the point. But I mean, it's just so these employers. I don't believe in abuse on any level: local government, state government, federal government, and then
private.
You can wrap around corporations with that as well. The other thing is legally, she's gonna have a hard time having a case unless a state has a law like you talked about Wyoming. Unless a state adopts that kind of law, she's going to have a hard time having a case. Now, I think the better question is almost should a law be maybe put together where companies can't do that? I'd be open to that.
Well,
and
that's one of the things that a lot of people, conservatives and libertarians are always kind of hesitant to pass new laws, but the idea of laws is to protect our God-given rights, and and I guess you have to take into consideration: is it a God-given right to have at least some portion of your day where someone is not tracking you somewhere, whether it's at home or whether you go visit family or I honestly don't know what this employer would gain from knowing where their employees are 24 hours a day, unless they're on call or something like that. I mean, maybe it's a salesperson, so I don't think it would be a situation. I could see how it could come in handy. Say you're an on-call engineer of some sort, and the company has 20 engineers, and something breaks down in this part of town in a different office. We can find out who the closest engineer is and have them go out and fix it. Right. I understand that. But in this case, it doesn't seem like there's any real reason. Trucking companies, another example, they don't track the truck driver, they track the truck. And they have to know where that truck is 24 hours a day. Right. And they do have, they have satellite tracking and all that kind of stuff. I understand that. But this does seem to be a bit overboard.
It is.
But again, I don't know if she has a case as far as a $500,000 lawsuit.
She doesn't. I don't think she does. I'd be very surprised for the simple fact that it's a private company. You don't have to work there. And that's the thing. I'm not saying that a law like that, you mentioned the social media laws that they've been put in place in some states. Yeah. Or a law saying that, okay, a company can't track you. I'm not even so sure that's the answer, because typically people can solve their own problems. Like, you quit the job. Put it out there, though. I'm glad that she's at least putting it out there, because maybe this will deter other companies from being so intrusive.
Yeah, and I think that's the socially, and look, I mean, the lawsuit will probably be dismissed or they'll settle, and that'll be the end of it. But it is good to get these things out there so people know. Maybe if you're working for a place that gives you a company phone, maybe you ought to check to see what kind of apps that phone is running.
Also, another issue that we haven't brought up is the fact that sometimes, and I don't remember what was it, Google. One of them was kind of in cahoots with the government as far as getting data from people. I don't remember. Was that Google?
Yeah, I think
it was a private organization anyway, and they were in cahoots with the government, and they both were getting information. Government was overstepping. Google's private, though, so I'm not sure if they were.
Google and Apple both, I think, were doing.
Was it Apple? Yeah,
I think it was both.
And see, we run into some issues. That's what I'd be almost more worried, because I know I wouldn't work at a place that did that. I'd say, nope, not going to work here. Yeah. And so to me, I don't need a law. I would just quit the job, and that'd be done with it. Now, what I would look into, though, if I was her, is the fact is it might not just be them tracking you. The government could be using it too. And probably not. More than likely they're not, but you just never know. Yeah. It's happened before.
Well, it certainly has. I have another. We'll kind of do a twofer when it comes to lawsuits today. I have another one. This one kind of got under my skin. A woman was kicked off an United Airlines flight heading for Portland. I guess this was over the weekend. It was recently. Anyway, the story came out yesterday afternoon. So this woman was kicked, and she's suing United Airlines. She was kicked off this flight. She has an autistic daughter. Her daughter's 15 years old. She gets on this flight and starts immediately demanding that the flight attendant bring them hot meals because apparently her autistic daughter refuses room temperature food, and she claims she had no way to bring hot snacks in the bag. So at first the flight attendant said, "Look, you're not in first class. Only first class gets food on this flight. You've flown before. You know how it is. Only first class gets food. So if you want food, you book first class." So she threatened. She basically said, "If you don't bring us hot food, my daughter is going to start causing problems." Now, the kid didn't say this. The kid's autistic. She can't help it. But the mother starts getting really demanding and basically threatens to have her daughter disrupt the flight. So the flight attendant brings a sandwich, a hot sandwich, but it's cold by the time they get there.
Right.
She gets to the seat. They just have a microwave on these flights. Airline food's no good.
Right.
But she brings the kid a first class meal, despite these people not being in first class. And of course the kid ate it, was fine. Meanwhile, the flight made an emergency landing 25 minutes later, and the family's kicked off the flight. And now she's suing United Airlines, and she's saying that they didn't accommodate her kid. And this is one of the few times that I would side with an airline, because the airlines are the lowest of the low most of the time.
Most of the time they are.
But in this case, I'm siding with the airline because, and it's not the kid's fault. The kid, the kid doesn't have, but the mother was being overly demanding, making threats. You can't have that on an airplane.
You can't. She deserved to get kicked off, and she doesn't have a case. I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
You don't have a case. By first, I understand you have an autistic kid, and so that makes things a little bit. You have to accommodate her, but at the same time, if you knew that going in, you should have got first class tickets.
Or bring food on the
something
on the airplane. I mean,
that's on you. That's not on the airline.
Yeah,
that's why she doesn't have a case.
That's on. And look, I mean. And she claims she wasn't allowed to bring food on. Now, you can't bring food through TSA. Now, that is true. You can't bring food through TSA.
No, you can't.
But there's always places you can buy food past the TSA check-in.
Because, gosh, I can do a lot of damage with my Twix bar. Thanks, TSA.
Well, that's, you have to.
They took my Twix bar and shampoo. Apparently the shampoo was too. It's unbelievable. What am I going to do with shampoo? What am I going to throw that in somebody's eye?
Okay, now I flew right before I moved out here. I had to fly back. I had to fly to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania from Kansas City, and they took my shampoo. They took my shaving because I forgot the 100 milliliter rule, 3.2 ounce or whatever. I forgot
stupid rule.
I forgot the rule. So I had my full size toothpaste, my full size shaving cream, hand lotion, all this stuff. They threw all of it out.
Luckily, I stuck my cologne, which was too big, in a hoodie pocket. Folded up the hoodie, it got through.
Great security.
Hopefully, they're not going to show up here, right?
Well, it's too late now.
Wait a minute, where's that cologne?
Yeah, but I just don't. I never understood that. But you can bring food on an airplane, and even if it's cold, they'll heat it up for you. I mean,
you ask them nicely.
Yeah, they do the best they can. I mean, they are overworked, and I make fun of the airlines for having bad customer service. But in this case, I'm totally on the side of United Airlines.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad that lady got kicked off.
Yeah.
The way she was acting.
Well, and it's kind of shameful that she takes advantage of her kid's disability.
That's what I was thinking. That's pretty bad.
Making threats. Well, my kid's going to throw a tantrum and hurt somebody.
Mother of the Year right there, I think.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that Mother of the Year candidate?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Hopefully the airline sues her back and countersuit.
Hopefully.
Okay, or put her on the no-fly list.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Put her on the no-fly list. Okay, what do we have going on in sports?
We have Rough Rider baseball.
Okay, sounds good. And we'll see you at 9. News Talk 1270, KIML.
Listen every Tuesday for coverage of the Pronghorns, Wild, Camels, Cowboys, and pro sports. The Tuesday Morning Quarterbacks Hour. Don Carpenter on News Talk 1270, KIML.